All right, we live. We live. Clap it up. All right, Salagi for the late start. This is ISUPK Southern Ohio. We about to get it in with the Feast of Purim. Got a few brothers and sisters in the house. We got more brothers rolling in tardy, like I'm tardy. So Salagi for that. Let's go ahead and get into the Feast of Purim. So what's the Feast of Purim about? I know all y'all know. Brother, I'm gonna call on you. What's the Feast of Purim about? You don't know? Feast of Purim, in short, is about a day that Israel was going to be destroyed, right? And you probably heard of Esther. You heard of Esther in the Bible. Esther is a sister in the Bible. She was an Israelite. And it was through her actions that the Israelites were not destroyed during the Feast of Purim. So the Feast of Purim, just to back it up, could you shut that door? Appreciate it. All right, so just to back up a little bit, a lot of things that we celebrate in the world or that we're used to celebrating, birthdays, Christmas, Valentine's Day, Easter, all these things, none of these things were prescribed by the Lord. And the Lord never told us to go and celebrate that. Now, we were raised celebrating them, so it's things that we think we should celebrate because that's how we was raised. Well, if you want to know what you should be celebrating as a people, you go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, has all the high holy days that the Lord ordained for his people to follow. So if there's anything that you should be celebrating, it's found in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. Those are called high holy days, right? A high holy day is basically, you might make it equivalent to a holiday here in America. So a high holy day, the first high holy day on our calendar as Israelites is the Passover, right? After Passover is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. You got the Feast of Tabernacles, the Feast of First Fruits. You got the memorial blowing of the trumpets. You got, is that it? This is one more that I'm forgetting.
What you said? Unleavened bread, first fruits.
Purim, or not Purim, but it doesn't matter. Like we'll run it down another time, but you find what you need to celebrate the Feast of Booths, Feast of Tabernacles. I think I said it. Either way, Feast of Booths, Feast of Tabernacles, right? So you go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, you find what you're supposed to be celebrating as a people, right? Now, those are high holy days. There's two other days that Israelites commemorate, right? They're very important because they're both times of turmoil for us as a people. One is a common one you might have heard, Hanukkah, or Hanukkah is how they pronounce it in English. Hanukkah is a commemoration, right? It's not a high holy day. Yo, that light is going off super fast. Is it a way that you can change the setting on it? Hanukkah is a day that we commemorated as Israelites, right? Now this day as well, the Feast of Purim, is another day that we say we're going to remember this as Israelites. And so now it's not a high holy day. It's not found in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. But back during biblical times, the Israelites saw this day and saw that we were going to be destroyed. And they said, you know what? We need to commemorate this day. We need not to forget this day. So having said that, let's get into the Feast of Purim and break down a few scriptures. Now, the Feast of Purim is 2 days long. Today is the opening and tomorrow is the closing. So on both days, you're supposed to feast, you're supposed to come together, and you're supposed to talk about the story of Purim, and you're supposed to honor the sisters that are present for Purim, because although people don't believe that Israelites honor sisters, we hold our sisters in very high regard, and this is one day that we celebrate the sisters for sure. All right, so let's get into it. The Feast of Purim. Who got the scripture for me? Let's start in the first one, the book of Esther. Let's grab the book of Esther. Let's start from the beginning. 1 and 1.
Come.
I'm ready.
Come. This is the book of Esther, chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Assyrians. This is Assyrians which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 107 and 20 provinces.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 2.
So this is a heathen king, and I don't know if this is the Xerxes from the movie, but that was like a title. So this king like was the king of the Medo-Persian Empire. Is that right? Medo-Persian Empire. Now, here's another thing that you're gonna learn about the Bible. A lot of historians look at the Bible to line up history, right? You'll find Alexander the Greek in here. They call him Alexander the Great. We call him Alexander the Greek. He's in here. Darius is in here. The Medo-Persian Empire, the Babylonian Empire. All these things are real things found in history. So when people say that the Bible is a made-up book, that's a lie. These are all things that you can go and research and find, and you can find that the Israelites were in captivity in Egypt. You can see it on the hieroglyphs. You can see it in their records. You can find this in the Assyrian Empire, the Babylonian Empire, the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire. They've minted coins of how they had us in captivities for sure. So these things are all things that you can go and research. Anybody who says that the Bible is not real, they don't understand the Bible. They don't have any real knowledge. They don't do any real history, because it's easy to tie together the events that happened in the Bible and place the Israelites on the scene. That's all I can say about that. If you don't believe in the Bible, then we on to the next one. We ain't gonna waste no more time on you. Right. So we got this heathen king, right? The king of the Medo-Persian Empire. Am I getting that right? Is it the Medo-Persian Empire that we're talking about?
Yeah, Persian.
Yep. So we got him, the king, the king, right? And he's over, what was it, 127 provinces?
Yeah, 127 provinces.
You just stay. Isaiah could work that light. Isaiah. Go ahead.
Verse 2. That in those days, when the king Xerxes sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the palace, in the third year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces, being before him.
Right. So what was he doing? Anybody?
You said, well, he's a king. He was reigning over. He's a king.
What is it? Did you read that last part again?
The noble, verse 3. In the third year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the province, being before him. That's
what I meant. So it's time for him he's throwing a feast, right? So this is very important to understand how the book of Esther came about. Is understanding the events leading up into what happened in the end, right? This king, he's throwing a feast, and he's invited all the nobles. So imagine you're a person of importance, right? You're a person of importance, and you're inviting all your friends and all people who you consider important, right? People who are important, they run in circles, right? So yeah. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead, y'all.
Verse 4. When he shewed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 180 days.
What?
Even 180 days.
Right. So that's 104 score. Like that's a score is 20.
Right.
Go ahead.
Verse 5. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace.
When these days were what?
And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace.
Right.
Both unto great and small.
So he threw a feast, right, for all the people. Go ahead.
7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace. Verse 6. Where were white, green, and blue hangings, fastened with cords of fine linen and purple to silver rings and pillars of marble.
Hey, Sakana, if you could, let's organize some chairs, like scoot those tables to the right and organize some chairs like a classroom. I know we kind of set up a little different. Let's see if we get it. Go ahead, y'all, with them. Quietly, too, like. Just a little bit over so we can put more chairs right there.
Okay, verse 6. I'll read from the top, verse 6. There were white, green, and blue hangings fastened with cords of fine linen and purple with silver rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver, upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black marble. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold, vessels being diverse one from another.
So you can see, right, how elaborate that this is. Just two and two would be good. So you put two here and two, like two and two and two and two. Like leave a separation though, because you got the sisters on your side. Just go ahead. It's just right through this door.
Yeah,
right through this. Right. He'll find it out. It's fine. To the left. All right, let's keep going.
Okay. Verse 7. They gave them drink in vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse one from another, and royal wine in abundance, according to the state of the king.
Okay.
Verse 8. And the drinking was according to the law. None did compel. But so the king had appointed to all officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure.
Yo, this was a big elaborate party. Brother, if you want to move up here in one of these chairs, that'll be too out. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Also Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house.
Now this is where it gets good for the book of Esther, right? The king is throwing this big elaborate feast, right? And now it says his queen, her name was Vashti, she also threw a feast. Go ahead.
And also Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to King Xerxes.
Now you got to put yourself in this scenario. It's a big party going on here, a big feast. The king threw a feast. He said, every man, well, read that part again. Every man had his pleasure or something like that.
Right, yeah. That they should do according to every man's pleasure.
So like you come into this party, to this feast, this celebration, and like if you be like, I want, wine from this place, or I want this delicacy, like the king was, sparing no expense for this. Here's where it gets interesting. His queen is also throwing a party or a celebration, a feast, but she's throwing a separate one for all the ladies in her court, right? So now, I mean, just put yourself in there. Like I'm throwing something big, I'm already slighted. It's like, okay, I'm throwing a feast, I got all the nobles. Like, why are you throwing another feast? But that's kind of delving into it a little bit. But let's just keep going with the story. We're gonna see where it's starting to get juicy now, so to speak.
Verse 10. The heart of the king was very wine. He commanded Mahumah, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zethar, Carpus, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Xerxes the king. Mm-hmm. Verse 11.
Right. So he called his 7 chamberlains. Right. Now it says that he was merry with wine, meaning that he had been drinking, everybody having a good time. And what happens generally when you have been drinking and having a good time, you tend to get a little bit more social. That's why they call it spirits. Go ahead.
Verse 11. To bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on.
Read that again.
To bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on.
What's going on? Somebody break it down. You reading, somebody else.
Okay, so there was a party.
Big feast. But this part specifically, right? We'll go ahead and let the brother answer. Go ahead.
The king requested her presence and she denied.
Well, you a little bit ahead, but what's going on like specifically now? Like what's the spirit behind it? Meaning like, okay, Go ahead, Yotam.
He flexed.
He flexed. He flexed.
Hey, man.
That's what's going on. The king is drinking and being merry, and he's calling his queen. Read that part again about showing her up.
Verse 11. To bring Vashti the queen before the king with crown royal, to shoot the people.
Hold on. Hey, tell them where you at, Yotam.
The book of Esther, chapter 1, verse 11.
All right, we in Esther, the first chapter, verse 11. Go ahead.
To bring Vashti the queen before the king with crown royal,
Mm-hmm.
to shoot the people and the princes her beauty,
Mm-hmm.
for she was fair to look.
And that's what Yawatham called out. Like the king is flexing at this point. He wants to show off his queen. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 12.
Mm-hmm.
But the queen Vashti refused.
What happened?
But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamber.
So he didn't spare no expense, right? This is a huge feast that he's throwing for all his noblemen. He's flexing. He wants to show his rib off because she was fair according to the scriptures, right? Says she refused. Go ahead.
Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him.
She embarrassed him.
Right.
He is the king of 127 provinces. Was that the right number? 127?
The 27. Well, I think so.
127 provinces, right? So he's over a lot of, lands and people, right? And you got to figure, like, when you're conquered, you have a whole multitude of people. That's like the Roman Empire. They conquered everybody, and he was basically absorbed into Rome. So likewise with this cat, he had a lot of noblemen there. He had people of importance there. And so when he called his queen, he feeling himself, been drinking, feeling merry. He wanted to flex a little bit, called his woman. She said, nah, I ain't coming. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 13. Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew law and judgment. 14. And the next unto him was Karshna, Zithar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marcina, and Memacah, and 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and which sat the first in the kingdom. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to the law?
What's going on here? Not you, you read. Somebody else. Shalom, how you? You back in the kitchen, I ain't really see you. Go ahead, y'all, though.
All right, so basically, he's basically trying to see as far as, according to the law, how are we going to punish her for her actions?
Mm-hmm. Shalom, sis, how you? Go ahead. Let's have a brother read. Let's pick up.
Okay.
Where you at? Tell them where you at.
Who read? Right here? Okay. So, Esther 1, you can start at verse 15. Just 15.
What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to the law? Because she hath not performed the commandment of the king.
Hold on, you see read.
There's some of them names.
Xerxes by the chamber.
Yeah. If you get caught up on some of those names, don't even sweat it. Some of these names will get you. Let's keep going.
Verse 16. And Memucan answered before the king and the princess Vashti, the queen hath not done wrong to the king only, but also to all princes.
Right. You got a question, brother? You got a question? Just tell them where you at.
Esther 1, chapter, verse 16.
All right, keep going. I'm sorry. Read that again.
Verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
And Memucan answered before the king, the princess Vashti, the queen, hath not done wrong to the king only, but also to all princes and to all the people that are in all provinces of the king Xerxes.
Y'all get that? Who don't understand what's going on? Young man Terry, you understand what's going on here?
Trying to find out what verse
Well, just listen in too until you can find it. Just listen in so you can lock into the story because you're gonna miss the point of this, right? The feast. there's a feast, right? This heathen king, he's throwing a feast. He's throwing this feast to celebrate, right? He's got all his nobles there. He's got very important people. He's spending a lot of money, right? His wife, the queen, is throwing a feast at the same time, right? She's throwing a feast. So the king, wanting to show her off, calls for the queen. She does not come. And now we pick up in verse 16, brother. If you could read it one more time, Brother Bashar.
Verse 16. And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen hath not done wrong to the king only,
Right.
but also to all princes.
Go ahead.
To all the people that are in the provinces of King Xerxes.
Why did he say that? Why did this nobleman say that? Somebody else. Go ahead, brother.
Because her not following his direction was also rude to them.
A little bit more. A little bit more. Give me some more. If you own a business, right? You own a business and you the boss, and I'm like your family member, and I come in and I'm drunk and I'm late and I'm, not dressed to code. It's like, okay, I'm your family member, but you still the boss. What's up? All you got to do is listen. Don't even worry about the phone. Just listen in. All right. So if you own a business and I just come in, I'm your family, but I'm just messing up all the way. I'm drunk. I'm high. I'm messy. Like, what does that do to your reputation?
Embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing as hell, right? This is what she was, and that's why he was saying, like, if he's the king, even though she's the queen, like, if she can dismiss him like that, then what else? Like, where does it stop? And that's why authority is so important. You can look at it as like with your children too. Sometimes your children test your authority, or your woman may test your authority, right? Well, there's certain boundaries that got to be set, and so this was a line that was crossed for sure. This line was crossed, and that's why the sisters. That's why he said, "You not only offended me or offended you, but everybody." So like, shalom. So yep, Shabbat. Oh, so like I'm teaching class, do I need to pass it? Yeah, I can take a break and do it, sir. Oh. Okay, come on, bro. Yes, sir. Yeah, come on, bro. Yes, sir. Come on, bro. Yes, sir. All right, so my question. All right, go ahead. Where we at? 17?
Verse 17. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women.
You see that? This deed upon is going to come upon all women. All women going to think now that they can disrespect their husband, which is not the order of the Lord, right? The Lord wants men to love their women, and they want women to respect their men and love their man and not be against them, right? You standing against your man, that's against the Lord. Go ahead, Arthur.
That's the spirit right now. Is what you're.
Damn right. A lot of this that you see on social media, sisters saying that they're not going to change the way that they dress, and their husband or their man gonna have to deal with it. That's not what the Lord set up. The Lord don't want that. But we'll get more into it as the story progresses. Let's keep going.
Verse 17. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husband in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
When it shall be reported, the king Xerxes commanded Vashti, the queen, to be brought in before him, but she came not.
Right. And like you said, brother, that's embarrassing. Like, I can't work for you even though I'm a family member, and I'm coming drunk and I'm coming high and I'm not wearing, if it's, a uniform, I'm not wearing my uniform. Like, the other people gonna look at it and be like, I know that's his family member, but he He taking full advantage. Maybe I ain't got to come in my uniform. Maybe I can unbutton my top button. Maybe I can come in, sweatpants instead of slacks. Who knows? But what's important is that you take away the lesson. Like, these men were wise, right? Being heathens or not, they were wise to understand, like, we can't allow this. This is going to get things out of order. And that's the worst thing you can have, is a society that's out of order. That's what you find in every city. You find it in Dayton. You find it in Columbus. You find it in Cincinnati. You find it in Los Angeles. You find it in Chicago. You find it in Houston. You find it in New York. Things are out of order. Brothers are out of order. Sisters are out of order. What does that lead to? A lot of murder, a lot of theft, a lot of divorce, a lot of adultery, a lot of abortion, a lot of broken families, a lot of broken homes. All these things are contributed to things not being in order. How do you get in order? You got to serve the Lord. Let's keep going.
Verse 18. Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Mede say this day unto all the king's princes, which have heard the deed of the queen. Thus shall arise too much contempt and wrath.
Too much what?
Contempt and wrath.
That's what was going to arise in those sisters. They was going to have contempt. Go ahead.
Verse 19. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of Persians and Medes, that it not be altered, that Vashti come no more before King Xerxes.
Yikes. Who knows what's going on? Isaiah, what's going on here? Go ahead, Sakun. What's going on here?
He Nino Brown in there, like
we're not gonna use the Nino Brown though.
Don't even come in my face no more. It's over with.
Well, what's happening is his noblemen, his princes, his wise men are saying, if it pleases you, king, she needs to be banished. Right. She needs to be banished. And you might think it harsh, but again, if you can do that to the king, right, what's to stop things start to unravel. That's why it's so important. People don't understand why we do what we do in the school, why you call another man sir, why you follow the orders of another man. A lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people say, well, y'all man pleasers and y'all following men. Everybody follows somebody.
Right.
You're a fool if you don't believe that you follow somebody.
Right.
Let that man tell you to come in an hour early on that job. I bet you be there. Let the cop pull you over. I guarantee you're going to stop.
Right.
Stop acting like you don't follow men. That's the silliest thing that I ever heard. Everybody follows somebody. Where we at? So the point is this. The point is these men were wise enough to understand that we can't let things get out of order. Let's keep going.
Verse 19. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of Persians and Medes, that it not be altered, that Vashti come no more before King Xerxes.
Did his brother get a plate? No sweat.
And let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
Yikes. He's saying it's over for this broad. It's over for her. Let's pick up another reader.
I got it, sir.
Go ahead.
What verse we at? 19 to 20. 20. This is the book of Esther, chapter 1, verse 20. And when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published for all his empire, for it is great. All the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both great and small.
That's important. Read that part again.
God. Book of Esther 1, verse 20. And when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great. All the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small.
That's important because that even though these heathens were saying it, that lines up with the scriptures. Like, that's very important in a home, right? There's a certain order. Somebody pulled for me in Corinthians, the head of the woman.
I got it, sir. This is 1 Corinthians 11:3.
Mm-hmm.
I will have you know.
Tell them where you at.
1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 3.
Mm-hmm.
But I will have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
The head of every man. So like this is what Christians struggle with, mainly fake Israelites. Like this is something that's very common, and people who know that they're Israelites, they say, well, I'm not going to follow a man. Well, what did you just read? Read that part again.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 11 and verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
The head of every man is Christ. Every man has a head. That goes for sisters too. A lot of sisters get, not these sisters in here because y'all wonderful and great and never get out of order. But sisters look at it like, in the school, like you start to take control of your home if you've never done it. And you become a different brother. And you become a better leader at the end of the day. And so sisters got to realize too, brothers take orders. I get these brothers orders. Some of these brothers give each other orders. I get orders. The brother above me get orders. The brother above him gets orders.
Right.
Guess what? Everybody has a head. The head of a man is Christ. Go ahead.
Come on. And the head of the woman is man.
Ooh, that hurt a lot of people who may be watching online. But the head, your sister, your man that you lay down with, he is your head. He's in charge of you. He's there for your well-being, for your benefit. He's there to guide and lead you and instruct you on living a righteous life. Go ahead.
And the head of Christ is God.
See, now there's a perfect order in that thing right there. And that's what everybody has to realize. That's why these heathens, they knew that if this queen wouldn't respond and act right with the king, all the women, they're going to be rolling their neck. Well, Queen Vashti did this to the king, so you ain't nothing but a nobleman. Nah, that wasn't about to go down. It was wise of them to establish that order and not cut that neck rolling off early.
Right.
We're gonna cut that neck rolling off early. All right, let's go back to the scripture.
Esther 1 and verse 21.
Mm-hmm.
And the same pleased the king and the princes.
Right. So the king was happy with it. He said, you know what? You're gonna get Queen Vashti, she banished. You're gonna get you another queen in his place. Go ahead. In her place on the slide.
And the king did according to the word of Mimican.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 22. And he sent letters into all the king's provinces, and every province according to the writing thereof,
Mm-hmm.
and to every people after their language.
Right. So notice I said this earlier, like this was a conquering nation. So he sent word to all the people within their languages too. Right. So you gotta, like, as you're conquered, again, just think of America, like the Native Americans didn't speak English, right? So everybody you conquer, you communicate. He communicated to them in that language. He sent a note to every province. Go ahead.
That every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people.
Wow, that's heavy. That's heavy for a heathen to have that kind of foresight. You understand? Because America is a little different. America doesn't really care about the order of a house. At least not the homes, Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. They would have your house in disarray. They would have two fathers in the home, two mothers in the home, father and a father dressed up as a mother. Like, America don't give a damn how your home looks.
Right.
But the Lord established something important. He even said it in 1 Corinthians, the 11th chapter. It's like, there's God, there's Christ, there's man, there's woman, and under them is children. That's how it should be in the home. You're not supposed to have two men. You're not supposed to have confusion in the home. You got two daddies, that's confusion. which daddy is going to work and which daddy is staying home to cook and clean? I don't want to have to deal with that. You understand? But America would establish this kind of disorder in your home. Well, thank the God of the Bible that he left the Bible for us, and he taught men to teach us the Bible so we know how to raise up proper homes. You understand? Let's keep going.
This is the book of Esther 2, verse 1. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased. He remembered Vashti and what she had done and what was decreed against her. Verse 2. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king.
All right, so this is where it's getting interesting, right? So now that he's going to get a new queen, he says, let there be fair new virgins, right? And this is where it starts to get interesting in this story. Keep going.
Verse 3. And let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan, the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of heads, the king's chamber, keeper of the women, and let their things for purification be given them. Verse 4. And let the maiden which pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti.
Right, so y'all understand the process was going on. This is a selection process. He's about to go through and try to find a new queen, right? Because Queen Vashti, she out. She had too much neck rolling. She was rolling that neck. She wasn't trying to come when the king called, when he tried to show off her beauty. Keep going.
And the thing pleased the king, and he did so. Verse 5. In Shushan, the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair,
right?
the son of Shimeon, the son of Kish, a Benjamin, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jocham.
So just so you know, you can go back and read the story of how we were conquered, right, by the the Persian Mede Empire, right? And so what happened? These brothers that still dwelled in the land, right? These brothers were now part of that empire, just like you part of the American empire. You Americans, right? But you're not from here. Even Native Americans who think they from here, not from here. They came over here. This land over here was not the start of civilization, right? Civilization didn't start in the Americas. It started in what people would consider the Fertile Crescent, Mesopotamia, right? Over there in, is it Iraq or Iran? I think it's Iran, one of them. I can't remember. But the Native Americans traveled over here. But just like now they live in America and are called Americans, they were not initially, right? They were another people. And we still another people. We just don't know it. Go ahead.
King of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away.
Right.
Verse 7. And he brought up had Adasha, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother.
Right. So Mordecai raised Esther, right? And now we're kind of getting into the main character, or one of the main characters in this story, the sister who the book is named after. Like, and how can you not love a sister like this as we get into the story? You understand?
Right.
Go ahead.
And the maid was fair and beautiful. And Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter.
Right. So the sister was gorgeous, and Mordecai raised her. Go ahead.
Verse 8. So it came to pass when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan palace, to the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought up also unto the king's house. To the custody of Haggai, keeper of the women. Verse 9. And the maid pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him, and he speedily gave her things for purification. Right. So this was the process before you could make it. The king had a whole purification process for the virgins. You couldn't just come up in there any kind of way with your hair all over your head. You know, you had to soak and be smelling good. So go ahead. With things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens which were meet to be given her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women.
Give me 1 second. Shalom, sir. Yo, ISUPK. Okay, come. Okay, come. Sir. Yes, sir. Yo, ISUPK. All right, go ahead.
Verse 10. Esther had not shewed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not shew. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did.
Right, so Esther had now moved from living with Mordecai, and she lived in the court of the king, right? Or she lived in in the king's facilities, right? And so her uncle walked by the court every day to see how she was doing, right? Because he raised her. This was his, like his daughter. Go ahead.
And what should become of her? Verse 12.
Right, because she is this was not a thing, right? Okay, this was a thing that benefited the Israelites greatly, but marrying a heathen was not her choice. You understand? This was something that the king called for all virgins, and she, of course, being fair, he chose her. Go ahead.
Now, when every maid's turn was come to go into the king as Shurus, after that she had been 12 months, according to the manner of the women, for so are the days of their purification accomplished.
Wow. So purification for 12 months. Go ahead.
With 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odor.
The king wasn't playing, was he?
Right.
Go ahead.
And with other things for the purifying of women.
Go ahead.
Verse 13. Then thus came every maid unto the king, whatsoever she desired was given her to go with her out of the house of the women unto the king's house. Verse 14. In the evening she went, and the morrow she returned into the second house of the women, to the custody of Ashgaz, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. She came into the king no more, except the king delighted in her.
Does everybody understand that piece? Who doesn't understand it? Everybody understand it? Cool. So you could see the king initially, and then you couldn't see the king again unless he called for you, right? Did it give the penalty yet, or did I miss it?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
And she were called by name.
Right.
Verse 15. Now when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come into the king's life, she required nothing but what Haggai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed.
Okay.
And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her.
She was a gracious sister. She was a kind sister. She had charisma. She was a sister that carried herself with dignity, and everybody liked her. Everybody in the court liked her, and especially the king. Go ahead.
Verse 16. So Esther was taken unto the king as Shurus into his house royal in the 10th month, which is the month Tebet, in the 7th year of his reign. Verse 17. And the king loved Esther,
right,
above all women.
Right. That was his boo. She was his favorite.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay. And she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the crown upon her head and made her queen instead of that.
She was chosen.
Right.
She was chosen. She was the one. Go ahead.
Verse 18. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king. Verse 19. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gate. Verse 20. Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people.
Do y'all get that? Like Mordecai, it said earlier in the book, Mordecai instructed her to not let anyone know what, who her people was. Now imagine you conquered lands, you got 127 provinces, you got all types of people, right? So you don't know what type of person everybody is, which, America teaches today, we all just one, and it's one big, melting pot, and everybody's the same until it comes down to justice. Like we are people clearly that don't get justice. So we're not the same. We're not all one people. We're different. We're treated different. I know a lot of us would like to believe that America is the place that eventually get to a point where we're not going to be treated different, but it'll never happen. This will never be a land where you will have equality with the people who rule it, ever. You'll never walk this planet in America and feel equal like to your oppressor. You just won't. So I know it's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people, but it'll never happen. You can get a good job here. You have a good career.
Right.
You can have even friends that are oppressors. You can have a good life here in America, but that ain't gonna happen for all of us. Most of us are gonna be poor and destroyed. And a lot of it is gonna be our own self-doing. Why do I say that? Because we refuse to serve the Lord. And the Lord wants us to serve him above everything. Above a good job, above above a degree, above pursuing your life's dreams and goals and hitting the lotto. I know everybody think the Lord wants you to hit the lotto. So you can do all this help for your people. I'm just gonna help all my people. You're gonna hit the lotto and you're just gonna change the planet. No, you ain't. You're gonna hit that lotto and be flossing. That's what you're gonna do. It is not going down. The Lord got bigger plans for you than just the lotto. The lotto is small compared to what the Lord wants to give his people. I'm paraphrasing. What do the scriptures say the Lord wants to do for you? You don't even know. Your ears have never heard it. Your eyes have never seen it. You can't even imagine what the Lord has in store for those that love him. Go ahead. I see you chomping at the bit to read it.
Hey, this 1 Corinthians 2 and verse 9. But as it is written, I have not seen.
What?
I have not seen.
Your eye hasn't seen it. Go ahead.
Nor ear heard.
Your ears ain't heard it.
Neither have entered into the heart of man.
You mean your heart means your mind. You ain't even thought about it. Go ahead.
The things which God has prepared for them that love him.
I can think of a lot of stuff. I don't know about y'all.
Right.
I'm thinking about, a ton of stuff. But I ain't even thought about the things that the Lord wants to do for the ones that love him. It ain't even entered in my mind. So this has got to be something amazing. Right. That's all I can think of.
Right.
This got to be something amazing. Go ahead.
This is the book of Esther. 2 verse 20. Continue. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she brought up with him. Verse 21. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, 2 of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth, and sought to lay hand on the king Asher. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther.
Listen, this was the Lord right here. The Lord delivered this to Mordecai, right? I'm gonna call him. What's going on, young man Terry? You know what's going on at this point? Don't worry about your phone. You just gotta listen in. You know what's going on with the king at this point? If you don't, it ain't no sweat. Okay, so the king is now married, right? He's made Esther the queen. Mordecai, her uncle, right? Mordecai just learned of a plot against the king. right? And so it says that he made this thing known to Esther. Just read that part again.
Okay. This is verse book of Esther, chapter 2 and verse 21. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh.
Look, Isaiah, can you roll word? Can you roll word? Go ahead. No.
I'm sorry. 2 and verse 21. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlain, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hand on the king.
Right.
Ahasuerus.
Right. So they were plotting. Now these are his chamberlains. These are people on his payroll, right? But they got a plot to kill the king. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. You got a question?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
So these are the king's men plotting against him.
Right. Go ahead.
Verse 22. And the thing was known to Mordecai.
Go ahead, Sakan. Yeah, grab that back door. No. Just I'll wait for you. That's cool. He just went out. Go ahead.
Verse 22. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther the queen, and Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name.
Right. So that was important. Again, this is an important part that the Lord made known to Mordecai. Right. This thing that was trying to happen against the king. Now, is like okay, here in America, like Black people always are seeking to get favor with their oppressor, right? Why? Because they control everything. They control your food, they control your water, they control your house, they control, whether you're gonna get Section 8 food stamps, they can control your kids' education. You can't name one thing that your oppressor don't control.
Right.
So if you can garner any favor with them, then it's going to benefit you, right? And not that Mordecai was seeking to garner favor, but this is something that is valuable, right? You saved Donald Trump's life, like what kind of riches you gonna have? You saved the president's life, what kind of riches and notoriety you gonna have? You're gonna have a lot. So this is a opportunity for Mordecai to get, or for Mordecai to pass to Esther, so she gets favor with the king. Like when you're in captivity, favor is very important.
Right.
Think about getting pulled over by the cops on a dark road at night, and you better say, well, the mayor is my, uncle or something. The police chief is my dad. It's like, okay, you probably gonna get a warning. All right, slow down. So any favor that you can get is gonna be, important. Go ahead.
Real quick, ain't nothing wrong with this. Ain't nothing wrong with that as well, right?
No, I mean not unless you're trying to, do something shifty or shady to get favor, right? All favor ain't good. If you selling yourself, yeah, you trying to move up, and you're a male gigolo. That's not a good thing. Yeah, the Lord don't want you to get favor if you're doing something wicked to give it.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay, this is the book of Esther 2, verse 23. And when the inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore, they were both hanged.
Yikes.
On a tree.
Yikes. So basically, Mordecai made it known to Esther. Esther made it known to the king. The king sought to inquire about the event. It was found to be true, and they were both hung. So what kind of how does that make Esther and Mordecai look? It makes them look very favorable to the king, right? Go ahead.
Okay. And it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king. Right.
So they documented that thing. They documented, which was good. Again, this is all of the Lord, how this all went down. Like this was documented. This was documented that this man, right, this Mordecai, passed information to Esther, and this saved the king's life. That was a huge thing. Go ahead.
This is the book of Esther, chapter 3 and verse 1. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him.
Right. So this is one of the king's men, Haman. Says what's his name again?
Haman.
Haman, I think. Yeah, I think I always pronounce it wrong, but he was promoted above everybody now, right? And again, this is another twist or another important part in the story. This cat right here, the wicked Haman. Go ahead.
And verse 2, and all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced him. The king, for the king had so commanded concerning him.
Right. So he was the man now. This Haman, he was the man. He was the cat. Now, when you were in his presence, you had to bow down to him damn near like he was the king. Like he was the man next to the man. Go ahead.
But Mordecai bowed not.
Mordecai said, damn that. Here's a cat who's, basically on the right hand of the king. And here's some lowly Jew, right? No, everybody hated the Jews. We've always been hated.
Right.
We've always been hated because the Lord loves us, and we the only people that don't see it.
Right.
We the only people that don't understand how much the Lord loves us because we don't even know who we are. Right. But Haman, Mordecai said, I ain't bowing down to you. Right. And of course, if you in power and authority, everybody else is bowing down to you. And then you see this cat and he ain't bowing. He like, nah, right. Like that's going to piss you off. Go ahead.
Nor did reverence him.
Right. He didn't show him the respect that he wanted or that he thought he should have received.
Verse 3. Then the king's servants which were in the king's gate said unto Mordecai, why transgressest thou the king's commandment?
Mm-hmm.
Now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them.
Hey, Mordecai was about that life. Mordecai said, I'm not bowing down to you, and I don't care what you say. And when they addressed it with him, he like, I don't give a damn. I ain't bowing down to you. Like that's like if you've never read the Maccabees, if you've never read the story of the Maccabees, you got to read that story. You want to see some hardcore brothers and sisters in there that ain't bowed down to nobody under threat of death. Like that's the story you need to be reading. This reminds me of that, of how he stood so stiffly. Like, I'm not bowing down to you. You're not a king over the Israelites. Like it's kind of, we had that same spirit in here. A lot of people don't understand like why we're so stern against standing for America or standing for the flag or being integrated into America. It doesn't benefit you to be integrated with America.
Right.
I mean, you can make some more money, but you're going to lose your soul in the process.
Right.
You're going to lose your identity. You're going to lose everything that what makes you unique. You think black people are the way they are because it just happened to be that way? You think we got all the flavor we got because that just happened to be the way it is? No, the Lord gave us that flavor. In fact, the scriptures say this, I'm paraphrasing. You are the salt of the earth. But guess what? What good is salt if it's lost its savor? And that's what's happened to us now. We got salt, but we done lost a lot of savor. Why? Because we refuse to do the thing that's giving us the flavor to begin with. Like, you ain't flavorful just because it's just you. But you just got all this. You just you got all the athletes. You just do all the hot dances and trends, all the music. You just got all the inventions. No, man, the Lord put that spirit on black people. Go ahead. Oh, go ahead. No, we keep going. We ain't got much time left.
All right, verse 3, Esther 3 and 4. Now it came to pass when they spoke daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matter would stand. For he had told them that he was a Jew.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 5, and when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then Haman was full of wrath. Verse 6, and he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone.
Right.
But they had showed him the people of Mordecai.
Right. So now Haman knows that Mordecai is a Jew. He also knows that his people is a Jew. Right. His people are the Jews. So this is very important. This kind of, now we're starting to get into the meat of the story of Esther. Right. Everything else was kind of just leading up into why this story is so important and why we honor our sisters, which we're going to be doing tomorrow for sure. We're going to do it up big for you sisters. Or at least big for us anyway. We ain't doing it. we ain't done a good job. And me as the camp leader, I just want to say this to the sisters in this camp. We haven't done a good job of honoring the sisters here, but tomorrow we're going to have something planned for y'all for sure. So this was I forgot the damn point. What's that last part? Read that last part again.
Basically, just verse 5, 5 and 6. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did reverence him, Haman was full of wrath.
Yes. So I'm sorry. So back into my point is like this story here embodies a UPK sister and how we stand.
Damn right.
How our sisters stand up for what's been taught to them. So
Right.
Keep going.
And when he saw scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews. Right.
So now this is the problem. This is why the book of Esther is in here, because now Haman is looking to destroy not just Mordecai, right? Mordecai said, I ain't bowing down to you. But he said, you know what? All right, I'm going to find out who this cat's people is. And now he's saying, you know what? I'm not only going to destroy Mordecai, I'm going to destroy all the Jews. You talking about genocide. This is what it was about to be carried out. This is why we remember this day right here. This was a day that many Jews could have been killed. Go ahead.
Verse 7, in the first month, that is the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Cyrus, they cast Purim, that is the lot before Haman, from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month of Adar. And Haman said unto the king Ashur, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed.
Listen to this. Listen how he worded this. Listen to how conniving and sneaky he was, just like a snake, just like the snake that was in the garden. Right? It wasn't an actual snake. The snake is referring to a person. That was his characteristics. Snakes don't talk, just so you know. But this snake this cat. He was just like the snake that was in the Garden of Eden. He was slimy and conniving. Go ahead.
And Haman said unto the king of Ashur, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people.
This is what's so important throughout all the history, right? When we was in captivity, even under the Greeks, if you were in the Greek Empire, it was unlawful according to Greek law to even call yourself a Jew. You couldn't even call yourself a Jew under Greek law, right? So this what he called out here, he said that their laws are diverse, meaning they're different from our laws. They don't do the things that we do. They do different things. And that's what's so important about doing what we're doing here today. What we're doing here today is different from what any other people do. Don't nobody else keep the Feast of Purim,
right?
Except the so-called the Jewish man. He keep the Feast of Purim, but he not even keeping it right. This is our high holy day, or our feast day, I should say. But people in the world ain't doing this. People in the world too busy. They just finished celebrating Valentine's Day, and Mother's Day is coming up, and Easter's coming up. Bunnies ain't laying no eggs, just so you know. Bunnies don't. Hey, Shalom, brother. The water for coming out too. We'll catch you next time, all right? Go ahead.
Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business to bring it into the king's treasury.
Go ahead.
This is Hammond said he'll pay for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, read it again. Where you at?
That was verse 9.
3 and 9. Mm-hmm.
If it pleases the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have charged the business, that have charge of the business to bring it into the king's treasury.
Mm-hmm. Meaning the person, whoever's in charge of the treasury, he's going to put it in their hands so they can bring it into the treasury.
Verse 10. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman. So
that was significant right there. If the king gives you his ring, that means you move with the authority of the king, right? It's kind of like what we wear here. This a lot of people call this the Star of David, right? This is not a star. This is the Shield of David, or the Magun Dawudah. This was David's insignia. A lot of kings had a signet or insignia, so much so that you would see them put wax on the letter. And what would they do with their ring? They would place their ring in that, and it would have the king's seal. So if they carried it to a far corner of the king's realm, you could look at the seal on there and be like, okay, this seal is unbroken. This is from the king. It has the king's signet on it. Well, King David had this signet. This was his signet. This was what he used as a seal. This meant that you were moving in the authority of the king. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And the king said unto him, the silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seems good to thee. Then there were king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province, according to the writing thereof. So
this went out everywhere. Go ahead.
And to every people after their language, and the name of King Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's ring.
Mm-hmm.
And the letters were sent by post into all the provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause perish all Jews.
Now this is why this is significant. Like you can see the chain of events leading up into this, right? Mordecai wanted that smoke, by the way. Mordecai wanted that smoke. Right. Mordecai said, I ain't bowing down. But now, right, now because of Haman being a wicked bastard, like he wants to not just punish Mordecai, he wants to destroy Mordecai and all his people, which are the Jews. And that's why this book is that's why this book is in the Bible, because we face threat of being destroyed on multiple occasions as a people. Even here in this land, we were under the threat of being destroyed through slavery, through poverty, through famine, through brutality. All the things that we faced in this nation, we've always faced them as a people. And it's important for us to realize, like, if we do not change, if we do not take our spirit out of this place and start serving the Lord, we will continue to go through these same things generation after generation after generation. And Black people wonder why we just can't come together, why we just can't do this, why you can't do anything without the Lord. There's nothing that you can do. Does that mean that, Jay-Z and Oprah Winfrey and Michael Jordan not going to get rich? Yeah, there's be some of us that do great in these empires and do great. It's always been that way. It's always been, and that's how you keep a people down. You take a select few and you raise them up and say, see, everybody can do it. They did it. When that is not the case. You think America wants every Black person to be rich? What America is not giving everybody Black 40 acres and a mule. Why? Because you're gonna not rely on America. America, this is what they don't tell you. They want you to rely on them so you can continue to be slaves. They need somebody to work at McDonald's.
Right.
They need somebody to pick fruit. They need somebody to sweep the streets and drive the buses. You think John Brown, he gonna come down and drive buses and pick up litter in the streets? No, those menial jobs need to be done by somebody. Everybody can't be rich. This society ain't built that way for everybody to be rich. Somebody has to be poor. Guess who's the best people to be poor? You Israelites. You Israelites are well suited to be poor and enslaved and have your backs whipped and be shot down in the streets. You're well suited for it. I tell you, it's a way to get out of it. There's a way to get out of it. And if you would hearken into the words of the ISUPK under Commander Johanna, you would come out of it quickly. Let's wrap up this chapter and then we're going to pick up the rest tomorrow. Go ahead.
Both young and old, little children and women, in one day. Even unto the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar. Listen,
and that's wicked. Not only to destroy the men, not only to destroy the women, but you're going to destroy the children too. Go ahead.
No, so it's one day.
In one day.
That day.
In one day. In one day. Go ahead.
And to take the spoil of them for a prey. Verse 14. A copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people.
Right? Everybody knew this. Everybody was like, man, you know them Jews, they getting destroyed. Like, can you imagine? Like, you talk about, we get stressed under the first of the month, right? And your rent is due. And you're like, dang, how am I gonna pay this? Think about the first of the month. Like, I'm dying. Me and all my people dying. You got to walk around. How you operate like that? Like, that is wicked, right? It'd be better just to do it and not say it, but you got to look at your kids. You got to look at your wife. You got to look at your husband, look at your family and be like, you know what? We all dying in 13 days. All of us going to be killed. Like, that was wicked. And that is evil as hell. That's like the most heartless thing that you can do. And these are the same type of people that rule over us. They do heartless things just like this. You ever heard of the Trail of Tears? You ever heard of alligator bait? You ever heard of, Jim Crow? You ever heard of sharecropping? Like, all these things that happen to us, these are heartless people. Was you trying to say something?
Real quick, like, as far as the common man, it came out of nowhere. On your point, sir. Like, they was just cool doing whatever slave job they had. Next, the decree came out, all of them died.
All of them died.
That's wild.
It's wild. Like, we can't even fathom how evil that was for you to pick up the newspaper and be like, this is a prank newspaper. And then you go to another place and you're like, they got the same newspaper. And everywhere you go, you read and he's like, we dying. What happened? Who gonna stop this? What we gonna do? Right. That's the mindset of the people, or at least that would be my mindset. What are we going to do? We're gonna die. They're gonna kill us. The only thing you can do is call on the Lord at that point. Go ahead.
The copy of the writing for the commandment to be given in every province was published unto the people, that they should be ready against that state. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city of Shushan was perplexed.
Right. So Haman wicked behind, he went and had a drink with the king. Right? He like, yep, take care of Mordecai and his people, right? Off that one offense. So we pretty much into the meat of the story now. We're gonna get a fresh Salakia. We had a few people join online for a few minutes, so we're gonna get started right on time tomorrow for sure. We'll try to cover the other 7 chapters. Isaiah.
Y'all.
Isaiah.
Good morning. These doors are having a problem.
All right.
I seen the manager here once, so. Some of them was close to, some of them was close to they couldn't get in. She couldn't get in.
All right, go ahead.
Oh,
All right. So that was that's where we at. We're gonna pick up the other 7 chapters tomorrow for the closing. We're gonna come back. We'll have another feast for sure. Clap it up for the sisters who made the food and brought the food. Big throw out to those sisters, Lord willing. We get everything together tomorrow and get started on time. All right. So with that, we're gonna say shalom.